Welcome to the first section of this second module. We'll look at the difference between sexism and sexist hate speech, when online content crosses legal boundaries, how hate shows up in digital spaces, and explore related forms of gender-based violence. We'll finish with an interactive activity to put your knowledge into practice. This section is part of our focus on European and national legal tools. Let's begin by setting the groundwork. In the European context, the first step in addressing sexist and misogynistic hate speech is understanding what it means. An important reference is the Council of Europe recommendation adopted in 2019, which was the first international document to clearly define sexism and to link it to its manifestations in digital environments. According to this document, sexism is any act, gesture, visual representation, oral or written expression, practice, or behavior, based on the idea that a person or a group is inferior because of their sex, which undermines dignity or creates an intimidating, hostile, degrading, humiliating, or offensive environment. The recommendation also includes a section specifically dedicated to the internet, social media, and online sexist hate speech, underlining the growing role of digital spaces in the spread of discriminatory and misogynistic content. It is important to distinguish the two. Sexism can take subtle, everyday forms, while sexist hate speech is more public, aggressive, and often explicitly discriminatory or violent. Understanding this distinction is essential in assessing the seriousness of a behavior or a message, and in knowing how to respond appropriately within your educational context. Let's look at two examples that help make this distinction clearer. Saying, "Girls are not good at leadership," reflects a stereotype. It's sexist, but not necessarily hate speech. It reinforces inequality, but it may not be aggressive or inciting harm. On the other hand, a phrase like, "Girls in charge are pathetic and need to be put down," is explicitly hostile and degrading. This is sexist hate speech, and it may carry legal consequences, especially if shared publicly or repeatedly. A simple but important rule to keep in mind is this: all sexist hate speech is sexism, but not all sexism is hate speech. Now that we've clarified how sexist hate speech differs from everyday sexism, let's look at the legal framing. The European Commission Against Racism and Intolerance, known as ECRI, provides one of the most widely accepted definitions. According to its General Policy Recommendation number 15, hate speech includes expressions that advocate, promote or incite the denigration, hatred or vilification of a person or group, especially when based on characteristics such as race, sex, gender identity, or other protected traits. It also includes insults, threats, negative stereotyping, or the justification of such acts, particularly when expressed in public or targeted at groups that are already vulnerable to discrimination. While the ECRI document does not focus solely on sexist hate speech, it offers the legal foundation for understanding how these forms of violence fit into the broader category of hate-based expression. Hate speech is often explicit, but it's not always direct or obvious. According to ECRI, it also includes acts that advocate for, promote, or justify hostility, even without using insults or slurs. This can happen through everyday digital behaviors, liking a hateful meme, sharing a degrading post, or defending threats with phrases like, "It's just a joke." These actions may seem small or harmless, but they help reinforce hate, especially online, where content spreads quickly. As you look at the examples on screen, consider how intent, repetition, and context can turn simple gestures into serious forms of hate speech. Hate speech isn't only verbal. According to ECRI, hateful expression can take many forms, and some may seem harmless at first glance. Images, memes, and edited photos can spread sexist or misogynistic messages. Symbols or coded signs, even gestures or emotes, may carry hostile meaning, especially in digital or gaming spaces. Music, videos, and live stream clips can be used to mock, degrade, or incite hate against women or girls. All of these forms, when used to humiliate, exclude, or target a person or group, may fall under hate speech, depending on the context. Recognizing these indirect expressions is key to understanding how digital hate operates today. Not every offensive expression qualifies as hate speech. To meet the legal threshold, it must be public or widely shared, directed at a group, and hostile, degrading, or likely to incite harm. If one of these is missing, the content may still be harmful, but it isn't considered hate speech under the law. Let's look at some examples. A statement like, "I think girls are more sensitive than boys," reflects a personal opinion or cultural stereotype. It may be sexist, but it's not hate speech. But a phrase like, "Women in politics are a joke, they're all whores," is degrading, hostile, and targets a group publicly. This is clearly sexist hate speech. Girls and women are also exposed to other serious forms of online violence that go beyond hate speech. These include threats, exposure, and manipulation, often happening in private digital spaces. We're talking about behaviors like cyber harassment, doxing, revenge porn, cyberstalking, grooming, or sextortion. They may not always be public or explicitly hostile, but they're still deeply harmful. Sometimes, these acts meet the legal criteria for hate speech. But when they're private or manipulative, they fall into a different, yet equally serious, category: digital gender-based violence. Let's take a moment to look at some concrete examples, and how they're classified. The first phrase, "Women in tech are a mistake. Fire them all," is a clear case of sexist hate speech. It's public, hostile, and targets women as a group, using degrading and exclusionary language. The second one, "If you ghost me again, your number's going online," is an example of threat and digital coercion, in this case, doxing. It's a form of gender-based violence, but since it's private and aimed at personal control, it doesn't qualify as hate speech. The third expression, "No girl deserves that role, she slept her way up," reflects sexism combined with character attack. It reinforces stereotypes and exclusion, and if shared publicly with hostile intent, it could also qualify as hate speech. The fourth phrase, "You owe me. Now prove it. Or else," is a form of sextortion, private pressure that involves emotional and possibly sexual manipulation. It's clearly digital violence, but again, not hate speech. Finally, "You're disgusting. I'll make sure everyone knows what you are," is an example of cyber harassment. If repeated or made public, this kind of verbal abuse may cross the line into hate speech, especially if it targets someone based on gender. These examples show how important context is. Not every harmful message is hate speech, but many are still serious forms of digital violence that require attention and action. You've already gained key tools to recognize hate speech and connect it to the broader legal and social issues of gender-based violence online. Now it's your turn to put this into practice. You'll see real-life examples from chats, games, or social media. For each one, choose the right category. Sexism, biased or stereotyped views. Sexist or misogynistic hate speech, hostile, public, and targeting girls or women. Gender-based digital violence, threats, pressure, or exposure, especially in private messages. You'll get instant feedback to help sharpen your understanding.